Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop, and joining us in studio is Chicago Democratic State Representative LaShawn Ford. Representative, thank you so much for taking time with us this morning and being in studio. How you doing?
Great. It's nice to see your cockpit. This is beautiful.
That's one way I guess you could put it, right?
You're the captain.
I've got all kinds of buttons and switches and cameras and screens and TVs, and there's a lot going on every morning. So by the time I go and cover you guys at the State House, I've already got a full day's work in. So,
well, the listeners are lucky. If they only knew the effort that goes into making this show go off, they appreciate you even more.
Oh, thank you, Representative. Appreciate that. All right, so you guys are in session. We'll definitely want to talk about where we're at with the budget negotiations, what you can share with us there. I also want to talk a little bit about what we can see happen in as far as addressing crime at the State House. But there was something that was in the Chicago Tribune that we talked about yesterday and even took some calls, and I'm glad that you're able to join us to talk more about this. But it's an idea to allow for hallucinogenic plants like psilocybin mushrooms or peyote or mescaline or whatever it may be as therapy of sorts. Tell us what you're looking at and maybe some of the voices you've heard on this issue.
You know, Greg Bishop, I would tell you that the best part about being an elected official is you get to listen to people with ideas. And you get to work with those people that's willing to fight for what they believe in and prove their points. And this idea that I'm working on right now was brought to me by lobbyist and advocate Mark Pesakovich. And then more people start coming on. And so it's the Illinois Compassionate Use of a Natural Plant. And the goal is to decriminalize another drug in a way that is already being used and to do everything that we can to regulate it so that it's as safe as possible so that individuals could have the opportunity to use it under a doctor's care. And so what we're doing now is pulling all of the interested parties together so that we can discuss it and have a bill to file as soon as we can agree on the best language.
So when it comes to this idea of using hallucinogenic plants as therapy, if people are familiar with the history of LSD, for instance, right. Whenever it was discovered, it was tested on helping people with alcoholism, but then somehow it seemed to be suppressed back in the 60s and 70s, and then it turned into, the peace, love generation and tune in, drop out type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you hearing from people who do want to have this as compassionate use for therapy? What kind of therapy would be available for this?
As far those, I've heard people say that it's really helped them for mental and behavioral health issues. And we can't ignore that. We cannot ignore the fact that we have proven evidence that it's helped someone. And in America, the greatest part about being an American, you get to have an idea, you get to fight for it. And what the advocates that's supporting this are telling me and saying, we have evidence that it has made my life better. And so how do we turn our backs on people that say that they have evidence that it's made their life better? And why we have to take it slow is because there's also evidence that if it's not used properly, that it could cause harm. And we don't want that to happen.
But that's the case with all kinds of even prescribed pharmaceuticals, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's right. I mean, even with the pills that people have in their medicine cabinet, if it's not used properly, it could be dangerous. And so people right now, they're using mushrooms and they're using this type of treatment and they're doing it on their own. And so what we need to do is be serious about an issue that's out here. That's what we're supposed to do as a government, protect the people. And so if there's something that's happening out here, we already know the war on drugs failed us. And so we can't continue to tell people just say no. what we have to do is look it in the eye and do everything that we can to deal with it and not turn our backs on people that actually have testified that this has made their lives better.
We're talking with State Representative LaShawn Ford here on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop, and the idea, not yet in bill form, but still the conversations are ongoing, to allow for individuals under therapy to consume hallucinogenic plants. So when you're talking to the advocates about this, what are some of the ailments that they say could be helped, or the therapy that could be provided to help?
Yeah, mostly mental and behavioral health. And I've talked to other people that said that it's helped them with physical ailments. And so, our goal in government and in society is to help people. And we have to find ways that's unique to individuals to give them the help that they need so that they could be more productive and so that communities could be safer.
What do you say to those? And when we talked about this yesterday, there were people who called on air, others called offline, and said, "Listen, I mean, there's some people who just cannot use these things." I've people that I'm familiar with that have mental health issues, be it schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or a variety of other things, that if they were to ingest hallucinogens, it would probably not end that great. So how do you combat the possibility of, if this is legalized for therapeutic reasons, how do you keep it out of people's hands that really shouldn't have them?
Yeah, the question is, how are we doing it now? We're not. And that's why we need to do everything that we can to regulate it, because with regulations, then you have the Department of professional regulators on board. We're going to bring the Department of Public Health. We're going to set up an advisory panel for this, and that will bring the different departments in the state. It'll bring the medical professionals on board, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that this is safely introduced to the people. Right now, I mean, like I said, the war on drugs, and with all the fentanyl that's coming across the borders, this fentanyl is being laced on everything.
Yeah.
And so
I'm hearing stories like out of Florida. There were some, members of the military that had to help resuscitate others who were going to do cocaine, but it was laced with fentanyl.
I don't use drugs. And, I don't look down on people that use that as their way of recreation or way of treatment for things that they are hurting from. I'll have a Manhattan. I'll drink a beer.
Sure.
So they could look down on me. But what we should do as a government is regulate as much as we can. And I know that sounds like Big Brother regulate, but it's not. It's really protecting individuals, because we know that these drugs are being used, and the people that are experts in it, they want to regulate it. They don't want this to be out there as a plant that is illegal, that they could be charged with a crime. They say, let's regulate this so that we can control it and make it safe for our usage.
Yeah, and if it's on the illicit markets, it could mean a variety of nefarious things happen. Money traded gets into the wrong hands, and so on. State Representative LaShawn Ford with us here on Springfield's Morning News. Stay with us. I do want to talk about how to address crime and any budget updates you can give us. So we'll have a short segment next to touch on those two big issues here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop. Stay tuned. All right, back with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop, and joined in studio by State Representative LaShawn Ford. Again, Representative, thanks for taking time with us. We've got just a handful of days left before the end of spring session, April 8th, an earlier adjournment date than typical. But what do you expect to happen with the possibility of legislation addressing crime? We've seen a whole bunch of different things proposed. As somebody who's in the majority party, what do you expect to happen?
Well, I hope that we come together with the Republicans to, one, provide the resources that law enforcement need to protect themselves and protect the communities. And it's critical that we have a police force that's well-trained and ready to deal with communities in a way that's culturally sensitive. so that everyone's safe. And so I believe that we got to lock up bad people and keep everyone safe. But here's the other part that's important. When we lock people up, we have to make sure that we work with the Department of Corrections and work with the counties that they're in so that they could be reformed. You know, the department is called Department of Corrections, but there's no corrections going on in those jails and prisons. And so it's a two-pronged approach. When we get them, we got to help them. And we also have to make sure that we budget for results so that we prevent criminals from being bred. That means we got to budget better as Republicans and Democrats.
We'll see that come together as far as the funding aspect of law enforcement. And we'll talk a little bit more about where we're at on the budget. But when it comes to penalty enhancements, I know that penalty enhancements haven't really been a popular thing, but we've seen increased crime from carjackings to smash and grabs to other types of even auto theft. So is anything like that going to transpire at the State House in the next few days?
You know, I think when we talk about budgeting for results, we have to make sure that we're smart with public policy. If there is a penalty enhancement that will deter crime, I'm all for it. But if you murder someone right now, you're probably going to go to jail for life, possibility of parole. If you carjack someone, it's a Class X felony. You know, it's already a serious crime to commit these offenses, but we're not deterring crime from what we have. But I'm all for being tough on crime as long as it's going to work and not just cost taxpayers more money to keep filling up our jails and prisons when they're going to return and they're going to be worse than they were when they went in. So when you hear people talk about we have to be smart and tough on crime, it's about reforming the individuals once we get them and not just throwing them away because they're coming back to the community near you.
And I think that's definitely worth a larger conversation as to how the Department of Corrections can really focus on rehabilitation. So maybe we have that conversation more in the future. Finally, here in just the 2 minutes we have, less than 2 minutes, where are we at on the budget? When are taxpayers going to be able to know what the spending plan is? And are we going to find out, hopefully, before the final hours of session?
Yeah, you know, Speaker Welch and Greg Harris, and I'm a part of the budget team, I tell you, it's exciting. We've never had revenue like this in the state since I've been in. 15 years I came in, I had Begorovich, and we had the overtime sessions. I had Quinn, we had problems with finances there. Then I had Ronner, and now we got JB. And believe it or not, COVID had a silver lining. Illinois and municipalities are strong because of the revenues. And if you had smart leadership, then you have surpluses. And that's what we're at now.
So are we going to see the budget before the final hours of session?
Absolutely. That's the speaker's plan. And I would tell you, the Republicans would be smart to engage in this and help their communities. This should be a bipartisan year where Republicans and Democrats work together. You know, and Bishop, there's this
20 seconds.
20 seconds. This is a perfect opportunity for us to work with the cities and municipalities to help fund those communities with the local distributed fund. So I look forward to working with DeLuca on that.
State Representative LaShawn Ford, thank you so much for taking time with us today, and we'll definitely connect soon, all right?
Thank you, Bishop.
All right, it is WMAY, 7 o'clock.
Fly SPI Studio. Take the easy way out.